Was there an email? I don't remember an email. Please nobody throw out the real number because it's going to upset this guy. You go, Teresa.
Yes.
Bill went to give a presentation in Riverside at lunchtime, so I don't even know if he's back.
Friday traffic's always wonderful, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Barbara, I was going to tell you, I don't know why I had no clue what Mary was asking me.
Oh,
I had zero. I had no idea what he was asking me.
He doesn't just say. He often does that. He'll ask you.
Yeah, he told me I was a. Somewhere where we were showing somehow that people with smaller equipment or less equipment permits were somehow paying out their fair share. I wasn't thinking small.
Well, see, that's why when he does that, sometimes you have to read his mind and.
Yeah.
If you don't know what he's talking about.
So instead of a softball, it was a hot potato.
He told me, he said, that was supposed to be a softball. I said, I foul tipped it. I'm just glad Mosen caught it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they were a little late from it. Okay, well,
Might be one of those years
maybe fair enough if we go until 5 minutes after to.
Oh, we should give him a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hand you a different hat. Some softball questions. I feel like a deer in the head.
What?
Okay. I think we will go ahead and begin. I'd like to welcome everybody to the public workshop for the fiscal year 2015-16 draft budget, work program, and fee adjustment. My name is Michael O'Kelly. I'm the Chief Financial Officer with the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And I'd like to thank any of those that may be listening online for participating. This is an important part of the budget process. Staff appreciates any public input. Any public input that is provided will be provided to the governing board by April 15th. If there are any questions that arise, I will not waste anybody's time with introductions of every staff member that's here. If any questions arise, if the staff member who answers a question can please identify themselves to the member of the public, that would be appreciated. With that, I will turn the meeting over to Mary Leonard for the presentation.
Thank you, Mike. So this first slide is an overview of the general fund budget. In 14-15, the governing board approved a balanced budget. During the fiscal year, they approved several budget amendments, and we estimate that we'll end the fiscal year with revenues exceeding program costs. The proposed budget for 15-16 includes the use of $2.2 million in fund balance. The proposed revenue includes a CPI fee adjustment of 1.4%, plus the second year phase-in of the additional 3% fee increase to permit processing and annual operating renewal fees. In the next 4 slides, we'll take a look at program costs. This slide shows program costs or expenditures by major category and staffing for the current year and for the proposed budget. Staffing for 15-16, proposed staffing for 15-16 has increased by a net 3 FTEs from the amended budget. These positions include an assistant deputy executive officer in engineering and compliance, 2 career development interns, an air quality specialist, and these positions are offset by the deletion of 1 supervising payroll technician. The 15-16 proposal also reflects recent and proposed labor agreements with represented and unrepresented employees, which includes salary adjustments for the first time in 6.5 years, as well as increases in retirement contribution rates. This pie chart shows FY15-16 proposed expenditures by activity. About 2/3 of these expenditures are in the area of compliance, operations, and permitting.
Here for the public workshop?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and have a seat wherever you, oh, can I ask you to sign in, please? Sure. Thank you. You have a seat at the table. This meeting's set up for you.
Okay.
This next
The slide is not on here. So we're going to pause for a minute, and if you'd like us to restart the presentation, we're on slide 5 if you want us to take a peek at 2, 3, and
Okay.
4, and let us know if you have any questions, or we can, if you want, we can start it over for you.
No, that's fine. Keep going.
Okay.
This slide shows the inflation impact on South Coast Air Quality Management District budgets. The dotted line at the $113 million level represents the 91-92 adopted budget when legislation went into effect limiting the agency's fee authority. The red line adjusts this 91-92 budget for inflation, and the blue line shows the adopted and proposed budget in current year dollars. The 15-16 proposed budget is 21% higher than the 91-92 adopted budget. The inflation adjusted 91-92 budget is actually 30% higher than the proposed budget. Over the past several years, this agency has undertaken several cost reduction efforts. They've implemented the Public Employees Pension Reform Act, or PEPRA, for new employees. The agency continues reducing and eliminating agency pickup if employees share retirement contributions, has reduced earnable compensation items for new employees, increased the vacancy rate, has implemented the early payoff of Diamond Bar headquarters, and has deleted and unfunded select vacant positions. And now we'll take a look at revenue. The first column of this chart shows the 14-15 adopted budget by major revenue category. During the fiscal year, the governing board has approved increases for federal grants, penalties, and one-time needs, which are reflected in both the amended budget and estimate columns. As mentioned earlier, the proposed revenue budget includes a CPI fee adjustment of 1.4%, plus the second year phase-in of the additional 3% fee increase to permit processing and annual operating renewal fees. I'll also point out a few key items in the proposed budget column. Permit processing reflects an increase in asbestos notifications offset by fewer permit applications. Area sources, we show a projected increase due to anticipated higher sales volume of architectural coatings products. And the mobile source proposed revenue shows an increase, or projects an increase in vehicle registrations. Similar to the expenditure chart that we saw earlier, this chart shows the inflation impact on stationary source revenue, which includes emissions, annual operating, and permit fees. And these fee types represent 2/3 of AQMD's revenues. The dotted line shows the 91-92 stationary fee level at a time when legislation went into effect limiting the agency's fee authority. The red line shows 91-92 adjusted for inflation, and the blue line shows stationary source fee actual results and the current year estimate in current year dollars. The chart tells us that the 14-15 estimate is 22% higher than the 91-92 level, and stationary fee revenue adjusted, the 91-92 stationary fee revenue adjusted for inflation is 28% higher than the 14-15 estimated stationary source fee revenue. This chart shows our general fund unreserved fund balance, and the proposed budget includes the use of $2.2 million in prior year revenue to balance the 15-16 budget. It also restores $1 million to the designation for litigation and enforcement. The $38 million unreserved fund balance that you see in the column to the right represents 28% of the proposed revenue budget, which is higher than the governing board approved policy of 20%. This final financial slide shows an estimate for the current year and a 5-year projection. Budget actions that are taken in 15-16 do not have an impact on the long-term operation of this agency. Projected revenues include a CPI fee increase of 2.1% from 2016-17 forward. Expenditures include recent and proposed labor agreements, salary adjustments, increases in retirement contribution rates, and an 8% vacancy rate. Also included in the projections are building maintenance and capital outlay projects related to this aging facility that we're in. Throughout the projection period, the unreserved fund balance is within the governing board approved policy of 20%. This last slide is a list of key dates and presentations on the 15-16 proposed budget. This week we've held presentations for the Budget Advisory Committee, Governing Board Workshop, and this public workshop. Recommendations and or public comments from each of these meetings will be submitted to the Governing Board next Wednesday, April 15th. The draft budget will be presented to the board for adoption at the board meeting scheduled for Friday, May 1st. And if you're interested in any additional details about the budget, the entire document is on the AQMD website. And if you picked up a copy of the abstract, you'll find a link to that budget on that cover page. So that concludes the presentation, but we're available to answer any questions that you may have.
So there could be people watching, listening online that, unless they make a phone call in some way, aren't going to ask a question. But is there anything we can maybe help explain, or any questions or any input that you have, sir?
No, I'm more more interested in like turnaround times on permits and things than. But I can set up an appointment to go over that stuff.
So we, on the chart up here, you see we had a budget advisory committee on April 8th, and I'd say probably 40% of the discussion there was on turnaround times for permits. So I think we can make a note of that concern on your behalf as well.
Okay.
We do have, our permitting office has a permit streamlining act task force, or permit streamlining task force, I should say. And if you wanted to sign up for that task force, if you have your contact information on the sign-in sheet, then we can
Okay,
ask them to put you on the list for that.
sure.
Okay.
All right. Any other public comment?
No, I think I'm good.
Thank you.
Did you have a particular project that was?
No, that actually, I had a permit for him, but I think that project ended, so, before I even got the permit, because they were on at various locations.
Okay.
So yeah, it's more just getting those in a timely manner so we can, get moving forward on the project and not be held up for the permit. I mean, we try to think of it in advance because we know that there is a time limit, but when it extends beyond, 4 and 6 months, it makes it tough to.
What's the nature of the equipment?
This particular one's vapor extraction system.
Okay.
So it's for cleanup. And so, yeah, just trying to get the cleanup moving forward so we can, do good, get the ground cleaned up, and we get held up with the permit a lot of times. But a lot of times, like I said, we try to anticipate that, but when it extends, 2 and 3 months beyond our anticipation, then it's really tough to overcome,
Well, we learned that we've recently hired about, 17 new
17 or 18,
engineers?
yeah.
Oh.
And so that
That's good to hear.
should help
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah.
For processing.
Yeah, and I've worked with you guys for a long time, and so I try to, as soon as I get my engineer signed, get a feel for the length of time. But sometimes they don't, they're not sure either. So, but I'm glad you guys hired more people, so I think that should help.
Can I ask, we try to notify the public in a number of different ways, and, including sending a letter to all facilities that we have on record, publishing.
That's how
notice and
we found out about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. It just was.
And I hadn't been to one, so I wanted to, see what it was about, and
Okay.
so.
Okay, so our governing board, there's another public hearing, you see on the slide there where we take the budget to the governing board, and that's a public hearing, so you're free to
Okay.
show up, listen, and provide public comment there directly to our governing board as well.
Yeah, it sounds like I should have went to the 8th, the April 8th one. Was that a public?
That one, the public can come in, but it's not one that's generally
Okay.
where we put out a notice, but, I think we hear exactly what, pretty much what you,
Right.
what you said is people concerned making sure that we have enough engineers to get the permits out timely. And as Barbara said,
It really helps
Yeah.
move everything forward, just keeps
Yeah.
everything moving forward and get the cleanups going and, get that one done and on to the next one,
Yeah.
really, so.
And then this is an abstract with the budget summary. It also has the
Okay.
link to the budget.
Oh, okay,
If you'd like to look at the whole document rather than
perfect,
an inch worth of paper.
thank you.
is there anybody you think that maybe could help them? Would you like us to get somebody from engineering and compliance? I mean, just outside of this meeting that you could.
I was gonna set up an appointment actually, because I just didn't want to drop in on him, but I've been talking with a tool, yeah, and he's a real helpful guy, and so I just wanted to maybe meet with him and pick his brain on some things.
I'd be glad to call him if he's
Okay.
available.
Sure.
Since you took
Yes,
the
since I'm
time to
here.
come here.
Yeah,
When we're finished here, if you had more questions, we can walk over to
Okay.
the lobby phones.
that'd be great. Thank you.
So seeing no further public input, we'll go ahead and adjourn the public workshop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We
Oh, thank you.
for having. It's nice to not have an empty house.
Right.
Let me know how many people are online.
Nice to meet you.
Before your 3 o'clock?
So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, actually.